All right, guys, welcome to the Digital Barbell podcast. Man, that's a hot mic right there. Let me
Oh
turn
no.
that. Let me turn that thing down. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are, whenever you are. This is a topic-based episode today. We're going to be talking about deloads, what they are, how to do them, if you should do them. We're going to talk about coming back from being sick, returning to your workouts after you've been under the weather with whatever you had. We're going to talk about the cost of in-person personal training and if it's worth it, and anything else that comes into our mind. So how about that? Who's our sponsor for today?
Oh man, we got a big one today.
A big one.
A big one. Today we are sponsored by Antiques.
Okay. I never know what she's gonna say. What's the deal? Why are we sponsored by Antiques today?
If you caught Monday's podcast, Jonathan and I, he was still under the weather, and so we were trying to socially distance record this podcast. So we were recording it in the house, and we recorded it initially with video. As you know, there's no video if you watched the YouTube version of this, because we recorded it in our house, and I was like, oh no, I cannot find a decent background that we are going to use.
Yeah.
Not because our house is messy, because I'm just slowly starting to realize our house is like other people's antiques. Like I just cherish the memories of my, all my family or whatever. And, I have like my grandmother's stuff, my grandfather's stuff. I have basically our house is full of other people's old stuff. And
We were talking about this the other day, sitting at the table in the front of our house. The table used to be your mom and dad's. I actually think it's from like the 10s or the
yeah,
20s.
I mean, everything we have
And
is
it's
so
covered
old.
in this giant lace doily. You're sitting at this table talking about, have you ever noticed that everything in our house looks really old? I'm like, look at the table you're sitting at. It's covered in a white lace doily.
I just sent a picture of something to your sister. I was trying to take a picture of one of our dogs, and I was like, here's Lacey sitting in a grandmother's house. Like, I mean, every time I don't see it when I'm in there. When I take a picture, I'm just like, whoa, this looks like, and everybody who walks in our house that's never been there before doesn't know us that well. I was like, did the person who used to live here leave everything? Literally, I'm not even joking.
This place come furnished.
Many people have asked this question, and
Yeah.
I was like, "You're crazy. What are you talking about?" And now I'm starting to see it.
I mean, whenever we want to move out of this house, we can just say that we're having an antique sale and we can sell off some of this stuff. Like,
No, and
it's
I
a
love
living
it.
estate sale. We're still alive. Just come buy our old stuff.
The funny thing is, we've always had it. I think it's like this house specifically makes it look old because this house is old and the style
Yeah.
of this house, and there's all these shelves that you can like display stuff on, and
Yeah.
and
If
I
you
think
want,
that this house is specifically makes our stuff look old.
this room that we're in now, in case you don't know, is a separate building from our house. It houses our gym, our office. It used to be like an art studio, and so this room here doesn't look old because it's just sheetrock and
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff. But anyway, different story inside the house. Okay, before we get to the different topics, I thought of a couple things we need to have announcements based
Okay.
around. If you missed last week's episode, on the Thursday episode, it was the Ultimate Deadlift
Yeah.
Guide. This is a free resource that we poured our blood, sweat, and tears into, teaching you everything we've learned about proper deadlifting over the last 10 to 15 years. It's all in this guide. If you've ever been nervous about deadlifts or they've hurt your back in the past or you've been afraid to try them, you're missing out on a ton of strength progress by not doing deadlifts, and you're probably not doing them right if you were just taught how to do them in a CrossFit class or on YouTube University, or you asked your mama how to do deadlifts. This deadlift guide is going to take away all the question
Why are you
marks.
saying if you're taught in a CrossFit class? I taught many people how to deadlift in a CrossFit
Your
class.
CrossFit gym was
and
the
they
exception.
deadlift very
Yes,
good.
because they used the technique that we teach in this guide. But how many years did we deadlift wrong just going to CrossFit classes that weren't owned by you? A lot
Yeah.
of years. So anyway, it's just digitalbarbell.com/deadlift guide. There's even a free sample program at the end of the guide that will show you how to mix deadlifts into your strength training.
Yeah.
Boom, go get it. This is a fantastic resource. And I'm not just saying that because I wrote a lot of it.
You didn't write it at all.
Okay, the other announcement is we every once in a while launch an 8-week training program. The main focus of our business is, of course, working one-on-one with our custom training clients, but we write these training programs as a lower barrier to entry to get your foot in the door and see what our awesome style of training is all about. And now is the time to jump into one because we don't know when the next time we're going to release one is.
Yeah, this was originally written for, the summer, quick workouts in the summer. And we released it twice in the summer and people have loved it. And I was like, this is the perfect opportunity. Summer's ending. People have maybe gotten off track or had a super busy summer and weren't working out and they are ready to jump into something in the fall. This program is 3 workouts, 45 minutes or less. I've done it twice now, tested every workout. You're going to get in usually about 40 minutes. There's an optional 4th day, and it's great. I made tons of progress. I used it while we traveled in our Airstream, and you can basically do it at home. You can do it in a gym. You can do it with just a pair of dumbbells and some bands, anywhere you are. It's a very versatile program, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Yes, it's going to take away all the guesswork of like, what should you do if you want to get stronger, if you want to build muscle, if you want to build capacity, and if you don't have an unlimited amount of time, or you don't have 5 days per week, an hour per session to devote to your training now because life be crazy. This is a great option for that. Somebody messaged through Instagram yesterday and asked, what if I, am I going to be able to see the workouts ahead of time so I can do them on my schedule? Yes, all the workouts will be delivered in the same app that we coach all of our clients through, and you'll be able to see the entire week's worth of workouts at once. So if you need to do them according to your schedule, you're perfectly welcome to do that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've had a couple people reach out about the schedule too. If you're getting a program from us if you're not a custom client and you're getting a program from us, it's a set schedule, but you are welcome to do the workouts on your schedule, on your days. Like you just use, there's like past and upcoming buttons in the app and you can toggle between. You can usually see up to like 10 days of workouts at a time. It doesn't give you like, months of workouts.
Yes.
One thing to say, if you're joining a program though, we invite you to the True Coach app. You get to use the app while you're in the program for the 2 months.
Yes.
And then if you don't stay on with Digital Barbell, then you don't continue to just get that access to that app. So you do need to get it done within, the 8-week period.
It's not like just like buying a PDF that you just have in your inbox for the rest of your life. It's a program that you're going to go through. And that level of accountability is one of the reasons people get such good results is because they know I'm doing this program. I'm going to do my workouts on this schedule for the entire 8 weeks. The whole 8-week program is only $147 for all 8 weeks. Yeah. It's not a reoccurring thing. It's just a one-time cost for 2 months worth of workouts. That is, as you are going to learn when we get into the cost of personal training, it's a freaking bargain. And there is no cheaper way to kind of get into our atmosphere and see what our training methodology is all about. So if you are on the fence, I would encourage you to ask us a question if you're on the fence. And if you're just kind of not sure, jump in and try it. You won't regret it.
Yeah. And as you brought up the personal training and stuff, you're going to get demos of everything you're going to do. You're not just going to get the list of the list of exercises and like have to YouTube or Google them. The videos are right there in the app and the reps and the sets and all the explanation of everything you're supposed to do. There's very little like questions you're going to have when you just get in the gym, open the app, look at the workout and you go.
Yes.
And that's also how it saves you so much time is you don't have like questions or have to like Google what something is.
If you do the work, you will get results. Trust us. And so you can just go to digitalbarbell.com/quick to sign up. We didn't even say when the program starts. It starts Tuesday, September 3rd, the day after Labor Day. Yep. So you need to jump in quick because we're not trying to work all weekend to get you all set up. You need to get in this week and get signed up. Yep. And also put a link to where you can sign up in the show notes for this episode too. Public shout out here to Blakely for taking such good care of me while I was down for the count last week being sick. Basically, I was a worthless slug for an entire 48-hour block. And then even after that time, we stayed isolated from each other. She had to prepare every single morsel of food that went into my body, every ounce of water that I drank. She basically did everything for me that she could, except for go to the bathroom. I had to handle that part.
You'd have a little cup. I'd be like, would you like some water? Didn't want him in the kitchen.
Yeah. So I was just like zonked. And during that time, basically during a week, I lost 5 pounds, which, I was not purposely trying to lose weight leading up to be sick. So I just thought I would talk a little bit about like what's really going on when you lose a lot of weight in a really short amount of time, because I can guarantee you that I did not lose 5 pounds of fat and I don't look noticeably more shredded at 5 pounds less than I did before I got sick. Basically, when you get sick and you're not eating a lot of food, 2 things are happening. Number one, yes, you are eating less calories, which is the number one factor that determines whether you're going to lose fat or not. But since you're not eating a lot of calories, a lot of food altogether, you're not eating a lot of carbohydrates. So you're naturally depleting your stored carbohydrate storage that you have in your muscles and your liver already. And as those get depleted, even just by laying there, you're dropping all the water weight that's associated with that. So, if I was eating like 1,000 or 1,500 calories per day as like I was just getting sick, and then I gradually started eating more as I started feeling better and that kind of stuff, I was in a pretty substantial calorie deficit. But knowing that there's about 3,500 calories in a pound of stored fat, whatever 3,500 times 5 is, it's over 15,000. I was not in a 15,000 calorie deficit over that course of the week that I was sick. So that tells you that not all that weight that I lost was fat. I had also stopped taking creatine, so I lost a little bit of water weight during that. And since I got back to eating at a normal schedule, I've already regained about 2 or a little bit more of those 5 pounds. And I'm purposely eating a little bit more to try to replenish the glycogen stores, the stored carbohydrates that I lost during that time, since that's the main source of our energy when we go back to doing our workouts, which we're going to talk about in this episode.
You also have to take into account like your basal metabolic rate. Like, I don't know how much it just takes, how many calories on average it takes for you to just stay alive.
Right.
But the other piece of the equation is you're not pushing those calories out. So, you're resting in bed most of the day. You're not doing a lot of activity. So there is like, your general calorie burn, you're going to take like probably 1,900 calories for you. I'm guessing. I have no idea. But, something like that. And so if you're only putting in like 1,500, you're really not at a huge deficit. If you were eating 1,500 and you were going about your normal day and working out and like getting, all the activity in, then you would be in a much more substantial calorie deficit.
Yeah. And I think like the fact that I lost 5 pounds in a week, not doing any form of exercise, is another reminder of that exercise is not for losing weight. It can help you keep weight off that you lose, and you should exercise if your goal is weight loss. But I lost that weight, including quite a bit of fat, just laying there doing nothing, because the thing that controls whether you're going to lose weight or not is the energy that you're putting in your mouth, not the energy that you're burning on the treadmill or on the bike or moving the weights up and down. So just a friendly reminder that if you are frustrated with your weight loss progress because you're working out and you're doing all the things in the gym and it just ain't working, it's because the things that you put in your mouth are what control whether you're going to lose weight or not. I don't know. I just want to talk about that. I'm probably going to have a hard time getting through this episode because obviously my voice hasn't completely caught up and I'm a little bit winded. So what's the next thing that we're going to talk about today?
Let's talk about, we had actually, one of Haley's clients, Shirley, brought this up, and we thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about this. This week, currently with our Digital Barbell clients and everybody who does Digital Barbell programming, we're in what we, a deload, or like I like to call them like a flex week. We're in a week that is between cycles where we're like, changing up the programming next week, starting in the fall. But so this week we're not, we're taking down some volume, we're taking out some intensity, we're having fun with our workouts. Well, we always have fun with our workouts. Yes. But so she brought up why are we doing what is a deload week and why do we do them? Yeah.
I think the simplest way to think about a deload week is that as you train consistently and you train hard, you get tired during your workouts and you get sore from your workouts and then you kind of recovered before the next one. But as you are really consistent with hard training, you accumulate fatigue that you don't see and feel. It's like kind of like a nervous system fatigue that just builds up. And if you don't outweigh all that accumulated fatigue with proper recovery and an eventual deload, that's when we start to get less motivated, and that's when we start to get injured, when injuries just pop out of nowhere. We've basically like pushed too much towards the stress side of things and not enough on the recovery side. So a deload gives your body a chance to catch up from all that accumulated fatigue that you don't necessarily feel from workout to workout.
Yeah. So we just took all of the Digital Barbell clients through a pretty intense 12-week cycle of building strength. So we were working with some like sets of like 3 to 5 in like their back squats, their deadlifts, their presses, their benches. And then on the alternate weeks, we were doing some volume. And this is, I write 12-week cycles for the whole group to go through, based on the calendar year. What, what seasons are we in? Thinking about people's schedules with holidays
Lifestyle.
and vacation and lifestyle, and
Access
the
to
time
training
of
time.
the time of year. Like, are we going to be able to get outside more across the country because we have clients everywhere, or is it a time of year where we're like kind of hunkered down and sort? Is it a time of year where we're like more calories, or
Yeah.
and around whenever it's in the holidays? So we take all these things into consideration when we write these training cycles for our clients.
Yeah. You saying the thing about the holidays and the different seasons of life too brings up the idea of a mental deload too.
Yes.
Like if you are really consistent with your training and you're really pushing yourself and your nutrition is dialed in and you're doing all the things, making the trade-offs associated with, living a healthy lifestyle,
Yeah.
sometimes you need a mental break from that
Yeah.
too. Like you want to look forward to doing something different. You want to look forward to a new season with your nutrition with maybe a little bit more flexibility. So it's not just about like percentages of weight lifted. There's also
Yeah.
the mental aspect to refreshing you, like making you re-excited and invigorated for training and for making you more excited to
for
dedicating
what's to
yourself
come.
to
Yeah.
a future push towards fat loss.
Yeah.
If we're specifically talking about weight loss, you just cannot simply be always trying to lose weight. You are going to burn yourself out. There has to be periods of time of maintenance. And I look at maintenance as a nutritional deload.
Yeah. And that's truly what these weeks are with our clients, is more of like a mental deload than a physical one. Because if we were in just a true weightlifting cycle and we
Just a
had
boring old
just
strength
just
cycle.
like 3x5, add 5 pounds, and that's pretty much all we had been doing for like the last like 2 months, our deload would look a lot different. What we would do is we would go down to like 2 sets, use the same weight, do the same lifts, just take off some volume, and then get right back into it next week. We're looking at it a little bit differently, where we're changing up the cycles of programming. So I like to throw something like, for example, Mondays are usually the days we squat. And so instead of, getting under the barbell and doing some back squats this week, I did like a quote leg day workout with box step ups, lunges, and a ruck.
Yep.
And it was so much, I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yes.
Like, and your legs are fatigued.
My legs are sore
You're getting
today.
a little bit of so you're still fatiguing those muscles, but really it's the mental break that you're getting from walking over to the squat rack and getting those weights, those same weights,
Right.
adding 5 pounds and going
Yeah.
through those motions.
So
Because
you-
we're going to get back into that next week, and
Yeah.
it might look a little bit different, but we're going to get back under that barbell next week.
Yeah.
So that's really what our deload weeks are all about.
Like back when we were doing I'm talking about you and me personally, like only doing a strength program, the starting strength, novice linear progression, squat,
Yeah.
bench, deadlift, press, very little accessory stuff. You are routinely adding weight to the bar, and a legitimate deload in that type of training looks more like the science-based thing, like where you are going to hit your tops during your deload week. You're going to hit your top set of max of the same intensity that you would normally hit, but you're only going to reduce the volume by doing like 2 sets instead of
said
3.
that.
But I was going to say like, for a lot of people, that's not what they're doing. Like
Yeah.
you're doing more like a general, physically,
A GPP
well-rounded
program,
strength
yeah.
and conditioning program. So you don't really need to like get bogged down into those details.
Yeah.
Just throw in some different exercise variation, change the stimulus a little bit, and you'll let the accumulated fatigue go out by doing
Yeah.
that instead of like bogging yourself down in the details.
And that is honestly, we're not trying to just like plug Digital Barbell, but that is the benefit of having a coach or having someone think through a program for you, because that they're going to plan out these training cycles
Yeah.
for you. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we
Based
keep an
on-
eye
yeah.
on our custom training clients, and I can just tell, like my client Katie 2 weeks ago, like I had to pre jump in ahead of time, knowing this deload was coming up. She was ready for one. She's super
Yeah.
consistent. She really pushes herself, and like we're ready for a deload. And
Right.
boom, she came back the next week like super fired up and stronger than ever. So the principle works. It just can look different in practice for different
Yep.
people.
Yeah. And the same thing is true with our nutrition too. Like for you guys take your nutrition clients through different like cycles and phases
Yes.
of nutrition that go along with training as well.
Yes. And like you said in the beginning, like tying that in with the seasons of life,
Mm-hmm.
maybe starting a dedicated fat loss season between Thanksgiving and Christmas isn't the best idea. Maybe we need to look at that as a period of maintenance and strength building, and then hit it hard once commitment levels are high at the beginning of the year. So just
Yeah.
looking at periodizing. I should have looked up the episode that we did, because we laid out an entire year-long plan to periodize your training and nutrition to ebb and flow with the seasons
Yeah.
of life. I'll try to remember to
Yeah.
find that episode
What the
and link it
title
below.
is, so it can be searched.
It was
Yeah.
basically like a 1-year plan for,
Yeah, I'll write that
for
down.
periodizing your training and nutrition so that it doesn't ruin your life. It was something like that. And this is the approach that we take personally too. Like, nobody's trying to bulk up for beach season. You know what I mean? We're trying to gain weight during the shirt and sweater seasons, and then put in the work so that we're ready for the summer leading up to that.
Mm-hmm.
I
All right.
think I need to slow down on this coffee too. Switch to water.
All right. Let's segue into coming back from sickness.
Yeah. So we've definitely talked about this on the podcast before, but I don't know. I keep hearing about people getting sick all the place. I got sick. It's like a resurgence going on as we head into the holiday season.
The kids just got back to school.
That's probably
Yeah.
the main thing that got it kicked off, was all the little crumb grabbers bringing all the germs home. But as they go back to school. All right. So let's talk about upper respiratory sickness, gastrointestinal stuff. You need to stay out of the gym until that's settled down. But
That's usually a quicker bounce back, though. It's like,
Right.
you feel a little weak, but you're like, okay.
But
a few
cold,
days,
flu,
yeah.
the Rona, all that kind of stuff. The first thing that's going to go is just your overall energy levels. And the quickest thing to actually go from a physiological standpoint is your conditioning level, your endurance. Like, as you lay around in the bed, like, that stuff evaporates like straight into thin air. Your strength,
Well,
on the other hand,
In the just the way that you're breathing with a respiratory illness,
Yeah.
it's hard to get a breath. So
Exactly.
doing something like going for a run or
Right.
moving fast is not going to be something you even think about wanting to do.
Right. So not only is it more challenging to actually do that kind of work, but the physical capacity behind your training and like your ability to do that kind of stuff, it diminishes more quickly when you're sick than
Yeah.
your overall strength. So we want to keep that in mind when we come back to training, acknowledging that our endurance and our capacity and our breath isn't going to be there like it was. But take advantage of the fact that most of our strength is around, especially as we replenish our glycogen stores, eat more food, and have more energy on board for our weightlifting. So the general advice is to ease very slowly back into the conditioning and the cardio and focus mostly on the weightlifting.
Yeah.
Now, if you've been off for a little bit, the thing that you want to avoid is coming back to the full amount of volume that you were doing previously, or the full amount of volume that might be prescribed in your workouts based on where you left off.
Volume, and by volume, he's talking about like how many reps and how many sets.
Right.
So, here you're talking about prioritizing your strength. So looking at the list of things you have to do, like for our clients, it would just be like focusing on the strength, probably eliminating the finishers, and probably like if it said to do 4 sets, do, 2 to 3. If it said to do 3 sets, do 2.
And keeping those sets in the lower rep ranges,
Yeah.
but with heavier weights than you would use if it was a higher rep range. So in practice, like the first day I came back, bench press was scheduled for me in the 8 to 10 rep range. Well, I knew if I went back to doing the weight that I was doing for 8 to 10 reps before I was sick, I was going to be incredibly sore, and my performance probably wasn't going to be there anyway. So I built up. Built up means I increased the weight after my warm-ups into, like, I increased them every set as I went up.
Yeah.
And I kept the rep range really low, like 3 to 5 reps. And then I got up to the point where I was doing a set of 3 to 5 reps, and it was a struggle towards the end of that, the top end of that rep range. So I actually still hit pretty close to the weights I would use for that 3 to 5 rep range. I just didn't do like 5 sets of
Right.
it. I only worked up to doing 2 of those
Yeah.
sets, building in weight as I went. And that like gives you a good stimulus for muscle growth and strength, but it also gives you a mental win. Like, man, my weights didn't fall off as much as I thought they would.
Yeah.
And I didn't get so incredibly sore from going back to the higher volume. And higher volume also is more of a cardiovascular event, which, if you think back to what we just said in the first place, was the thing
Yeah.
that we want to ease back into more slowly. So in general, keep the weights heavier as you build up in lower rep ranges, and limit the amount of high volume stuff that you do.
That might be opposite of what someone thinks. Like maybe they like squats are on the list, say, and they like walk into the gym and they're like, well, I'll just do like maybe like 3 sets of 15 to 20 goblet squats. Like that is going to be a harder
Cardiovascular.
event than going over to the barbell and doing like 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps
Yeah.
at, maybe like 85 to
Yep.
90% of what you were doing before you were out.
Exactly. And then I would say give it an entire week of you building back up with just the strength work before you start throwing any conditioning back in.
Based on how you're feeling. Like
Right.
you did a good little cardio bit yesterday.
Yes.
Like, you didn't like go ham on it, but you went through the motions of the 20-minute leg day I was just describing with the step ups,
Which
the
was
lunges.
Which I really started feeling better like midday Tuesday of last week, and by Wednesday I was starting to feel pretty normal,
So
just
yeah,
reduced
that's true.
energy.
So
So
it'd
it
been like a
had already
good
been
week, yeah.
like a week, even though I did a body weight workout in my little quarantine room over there. So give it a full week before you start reintroducing cardio, and then just
Yeah.
use the same principles of progressive overload that we use for everything that we do in the gym to slowly build yourself back up.
Yeah.
And like go into it with the expectation that whatever you did before doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Don't worry about
Don't
it.
and it's not gonna it might be a week, you might have a week where you're not at the weights or the reps or anything that you were, but don't let that freak you out.
Yeah.
It's not like you haven't lost any progress. By the next week, you're going to be like, oh, I feel normal
Yes.
again.
Just like cardiovascular endurance, like you adapt to it, you get
Yeah.
it quickly, you lose it quickly, but it comes back quickly too. So
Right.
stay encouraged and just do what you can.
Yeah, I think this is a good little chance to throw in some terminology talk.
Okay.
Because we've been throwing out a lot of things like across and building and things like that.
Terminology Talk Thursday.
And so whenever we prescribe to our clients like 3 sets of whatever it is, if it's like dumbbell rows, it might be 8 to 12 reps. If it's squats, it might be 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps. Generally that will say like across, or the intention is that is at the same weight. And the reason is you're building volume at this same weight. So
Yes.
if my dumbbell row is like 50 pounds, I want to warm up with probably 2 sets. Maybe I'll grab the 30s, do a couple rows on each side, grab the 40s, do a couple rows on each side. And then I will get my working weight out and do all 3 sets at the 50 pounds within that rep range. And that's the intention of
And that's called
the
across.
sets. And like I said, the intention is to build volume at that weight. It's not, if we're building every time if we're building every time we see a workout, if it's like 3 sets
Tell
of,
everybody what building is.
building means like adding weight every time,
Every set.
every set. We're not getting enough volume at that top weight. So if instead I was like, okay, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, and I grab the 35 and I do a set of 12, and then I grab the 40 and I do a set of 12, and I grab the 50 and then I do a set of 10.
Yeah.
I didn't really accumulate enough of volume with the 50, which is what, since I did 12s with the other 2 weights, which is really what my capabilities are at. I can use
Yeah.
the 50s for the rows. So that's why we have you guys mostly do
We prefer sets across for almost everything.
than
Plus, it's
building.
super, super confusing to know that you're really making progress when you
Yeah.
do the building sets. Like, what are you going to do? Look back at your exercise history and be like, okay, for my first set last week, I was able to do 12 at 30. This week, I'm going to go for 13 at 30. Last week, I did 8 at 45. You know what I mean? Like, it's incredibly
Yeah.
complicated for no reason. Like,
Right.
not only are you missing out on the training volume at the weight that you can actually do,
Yeah.
but you're making it harder to see if you're making progress or
So I
not.
think 2 things happen here. When people haven't worked with a coach, they probably just maybe walk into a gym. They know they're going to do however many sets, and they like pick a weight, they do it. They pick a weight, they do it. They
Like,
go
that
up
wasn't
in weight.
very hard. Let me try
And
again.
They're basically like, some of those sets really should have been warm-up sets. They're not really
Yeah.
warming up. They're just using some of those 3 sets as warm-ups. And the other thing people can fall into is like that, like mental side of like, oh, I think I could do more. I think I can do more. I think I can do more. But you're not really like,
Yes.
reaching enough volume at any weight.
It comes from a
So-
noble place. Like, I want to
Yeah.
work. I want to work harder. I want to challenge myself.
Like,
but
I think I
you're
could
leaving
probably
progress
do
on
the
table.
55. Yeah. So you're going to build, so we're not really truly getting enough volume at the same weight. And so
Once
this is-
again, simplicity wins out in
Yeah.
the long run.
because you're going to walk into that gym next time and you're going to know, oh, I could next, like if you leave a note for yourself, like go up to 55s next week,
Yeah.
like you'll know. Anyway.
Overarching theme of this too is you have to be tracking your workouts
Yep.
to know if they like if you're just going in and like your routine is to hit the dumbbells, do
Yeah.
these, do this, do that, and you don't write down any of it. You're like, hey, you're going into the gym and you're not getting the most out of your effort.
So I hope that was helpful. There's a lot more terminology things that we can go through, but I think that across versus building is one of those that sometimes the people haven't worked with a coach or worked with a structured program. They're not really sure how to attack those sets.
I like it.
All right.
Well, let's move on to the last one. You ready? I sent out an email to our list about this today, and this was based on us being in Colorado and being at this gym in Golden and them having a printout somewhere on like a bulletin board that showed the rates for personal training. And it just kind of reminded me, holy smokes, personal training is expensive.
It is.
The average there was, the cost there for a resident was like $55 for an hour session. And so I did some research, and that's actually really on the low side for the national average. The average is really between $50 and $100 per hour-long session.
That was a resident, and if you're already belonging to that gym.
Yes. You still got to buy the gym membership on top of that. Holy smokes, I didn't think about that. $50 to $100 per hour. And that just depends like where you live, how experienced the trainer is, how busy they are, all that kind of stuff. We've said on this podcast many times that we believe the minimum number of times you should work out per week based on the expectations for results that most people have. If you have very low expectations, work out one time a week. I don't care. But from the results that most people want to get and like feel that they're making progress, 3 times a week is the minimum. That is the minimum.
Yeah.
So let's just split the difference between $50 and $100, $75 per session.
Okay.
That's $225 a week for the trainer. That's $900 per month, working out 3 times a week for a month.
Woo!
That is a lot of freaking money to spend.
I'm glad you said it like that, because when you said like anywhere from $50 to $100, the idea is like, oh, that's not that bad, but that's only for one training session.
Yeah.
So if you do that like you said, 3 times a week, and you do that every week.
So if I'm just being blunt, that's not worth it. That's absolutely not worth it. With the number of experienced people that you have access to online, shameless plug, there's no reason to spend $900 a month on a trainer. I know some people are just in it for the social aspect of it too. They want to sit there and chit chat with the person who's training them for an hour, and they don't want to have to think about what they're going to do. You can get a very similar experience from a reputable online trainer who genuinely cares about your progress and will like be a lot more than a glorified rep counter. I can promise you that, because spending time in those gyms really reopened my eyes to the fact that there's a lot of trainers out there that are putting their clients through the paces, and they're not like, they don't know what they're doing.
They're doing some weird stuff.
They don't know what they're doing. Like, they don't understand the basic principles that we talk about on this show every single week. They might get their client hot, sweaty, tired, and sore, and that makes the client feel like they got a good workout. But if you were to zoom out or track that person over the course of the year, I can guarantee you they're not getting significantly stronger or improving their body composition much with the kind of workouts that I see a lot of trainers leading people through. Now, of course, there are people out there like that know what they're doing and that understand the science and understand progressive overload and deloads and, when to use certain exercises and how to work around it. Of course, those people are out there, but I think they are few and far between. And even paying $900 for somebody who knows what they're doing is completely absurd. DGTL in under 45 minutes, $147 for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, even our personal individualized coaching is so much less than $900 a month. You could just go nuts on Amazon with the savings from that thing alone. Go buy another car. You'd have enough money left over to make a car payment. Anyway, and actually I can think of a lot of our clients who have had trainers in the past too. And I'm like, you're a baller for being able to afford that. But I hope that you feel good about the experience you're getting now for far less money. And I know you're making better progress too. Because when you came to us, you weren't already strong. You had already been working with that trainer for a long time.
Especially with our custom clients who are getting basically access to us right there in the app. They're getting like the personalization of their workouts.
Whatever they need.
Yeah, they're getting their questions asked. They're getting workouts for when they go on vacation. They're getting forms, us to look at their form. They're, all of our clients are getting videos of what the form should look like. Yeah.
From the comfort of their own home if they want to. Like no driving to the gym or paying for another gym membership.
Yeah, and that's the other huge piece of it these days is like, It is weird. You hear about so many things that like COVID kind of self-corrected, like
Yeah.
things that we were doing. And, you know, a lot of time has been saved because we do things in the comfort of our homes now.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's also the piece that, you know, the personal contact that you miss with people
Yeah.
too when you do things like this. But you know.
Yes. So anyway, there's what personal training costs and why I don't think it's worth it. Okay. Now that I'm, you know, 100% better and I'm testing negative and all that stuff, I want to know, should the next thing I do be go get a haircut?
out in public.
People, we're going to put a poll up on the YouTube channel. Should Jonathan go get a haircut now?
I like it.
All right. Never mind. We'll stick with it. Okay. Anything else we want to get to today?
I think that's it.
All right. Appreciate you guys. If you ever want to get a question or a topic in the queue, just send us a message on Instagram. Go subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to it so you don't miss future episodes. And join DGTL in under 45. There'll be a link for that in the show notes. Have a great day.